It's funny, I never thought of a drone as a prep item when traveling before, but it's a great thing to have. Welcome to the Undependent Podcast, where we empower self-reliance one step at a time. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects everyone at some point, traveling. Now, we're going to talk about traveling by car. And for those of you watching the podcast, well, I'm not in the studio. I'm actually in a hotel room recording this because I'm traveling for my day job. But whether you're traveling for work or leisure, being away from home can make you feel vulnerable. But the right mindset and a few solid habits can help you stay in control, maintain self-reliance, and still enjoy the journey. So today in segment 1, we're going to talk about prepared from the moment you arrive. Wherever I go, the first thing I do, I fill up the car with gas. It's just a habit, and it just gives me peace of mind. I've never had an emergency where I needed to leave fast, but if there's ever that situation, I got a full tank of gas in that car to get me wherever I need to get. And the thing is with these cars having, really high gas mileage, well, for instance, it only took me 3/4 of a tank to get where I'm at now. And I traveled through a couple states. So I know that in that car, I have enough gas to get home. And that's the thing, is I'm always looking for getting home. The second I leave the house, I'm looking for, how am I going to get home? So I'm ready to get out, whether it's a natural disaster, civil unrest, or something else. Having that full tank means that I can just throw my stuff in the car and go. I always think about getting home. I mean, that is my base of operation. That's where my wife is. That's where our dogs are. That's where I'm the most prepared, the most comfortable, the most anything to deal with what's going on. So always think about how you're going to get home the moment you leave home. It doesn't matter whether it's a long trip like this one, and it took me 5 hours to drive here, or if you're going into town. Just remember, you're most prepared at home. How are you going to get back to where you're most prepared? Simple act of making sure you have enough gas in the car, make that trip a lot easier. Now, the other thing about filling up a car is, well, if there's ever an economic issue, I already bought the gas. It's in the car. I don't have to worry about if gas prices double. I mean, if they double, I still got to buy it, right? But at least I don't have to wait in line, because if there's some type of issue, the gas station's going to be jammed. I already got my gas in the car. Just get in, get out. I don't have to worry. Preparedness doesn't need to be complicated. Sometimes it's just the small actions that help you be self-reliant. And that's what we talk about here. We talk about building that flywheel. When I get to where I'm at, I need to build a new flywheel. I need to take one step at a time. That flywheel ends when I get home, because I have that bigger flywheel of my life that's going on. Now in segment 2 here, we're going to talk about self-reliance in your hotel, because this is my new base of operations. This is where I'm temporarily living. And we can do that, and we can save a little bit of money. So when I'm traveling, I always book hotels with refrigerators. After I check in, I find a nearby store, because I'm going to out to get gas anyway. So I'll find a store, and I will stock up. Now, in our family, we live a gluten-free diet because we have a family member that has a food allergy. So it's a little tougher when you have things like that. So instead of eating out, and don't get me wrong, I'll have a dinner. Last night I had a dinner out. I was just a couple blocks from the house here, had a great burger. But I will stock up with what I need, because even though that food allergy doesn't really exist in me, it's been so long that we've lived that lifestyle that if I ingest gluten, I'll get actually like headaches and really uncomfortable. It's not great. So I almost have that food allergy now. So I try to avoid that stuff. So my go-to items are protein-based foods. And what I'll do is I'll go to the store because, I got the refrigerator. I'll check into the hotel, make sure the refrigerator's there. If it's not, it's, I got to deal with that. Once I know that I have a refrigerator, I'll go out to just like a local store. And I'll get things like lunch meats and cheeses. If there's like a Costco around, I'll go into Costco because we're Costco members. I'll go into Costco and I'll get a rotisserie chicken. Cheap protein right there, right? $6 for a whole chicken. And, it does a couple of things for me. It helps me stay prepared if there's an emergency. If something's going on and I just need to shelter in place, I've got food. I don't need to leave my room. The other thing is it helps me with food when I'm out, because what I'll do, I got it right here. I'll actually pack my lunch, because since I drove, I don't have to worry about ice packs and stuff like that getting it through the airline system. So I'll actually pack lunches. And it's pretty cool to do things like that because it's cheaper for me to shop than it is to eat out. And when I put that on my expense reports, I actually sell it as a bonus, right? I'm saving you money because I'm packing my lunches. And, last night I went to the store, I bought 2 things of lunch meat. They're like the Oscar Mayer, like 16-ounce lunch meats. One was turkey and one was ham. Some cheese. I've got I got like a little bag of stir-fried vegetables. So it's just the raw carrots and vegetable mix. So I can actually have a decent, healthy lunch. And it was all like $20. So I've got all my lunches here. And, I put that on my expense report. I have 3 days of lunches that only cost them $20. So it's, I actually use my expense report to help me prep while I'm gone. Saves them money. So it's a win-win. But see, and that's the thing is, I'm in this hotel room, so if I need it, it's there. It's currently, it's currently 1:45 in the morning right now. I got here, I had dinner, I was exhausted from traveling, so I crashed early. I'll probably get a couple hours of sleep before I head into the office here. But I was hungry, so I just grabbed a couple, slices of turkey breast. And, that's the thing is I got protein here. So that'll help me continue on. So think about this. This is, number one, a way to save money. Because if you're not traveling for work, you're traveling personally, help you save some money. 2, it'll help you be a little more prepared. And, when you can save money and be prepared, especially when you're away from home, that's a really kind of a good thing. I'm not saying don't eat out. It's not a bad thing. I mean, like I said, I ate out last night. It was great. But, I prefer to be within walking distance of this hotel. Last night, since I was getting gas and everything, it wasn't that big of a deal. I'm going out anyway to get gas, go shopping, so I had the car with me. No problem. But I'll try to eat within walking distance of this hotel because this is now my new safe area. Well, or as safe as I can be. I'm also only a couple of blocks away from the office here. Now, the other thing I do is I always travel with like Kind bars. I like these chewy protein bars that are Kirkland brand. Both these are Kirkland brands, believe it or not. These nut bars. I grab handfuls of these and throw these in my bag. They'll be with me in the hotel room. They'll go into my laptop bag when I go in the office. So I have a snack with me. Not to mention I have my lunch with me. But these are really great for snacking, especially if you're driving, get hungry. Get some protein with you. Easy to pack. They store well. And again, that's just until I can get to the hotel. This is also when I leave here at the hotel. Yes, I'll have my lunch. When I drove here, I actually had some lunch meat and cheese in, a little plastic thing that was in my lunch tote with my ice pack. So that way I had something on the road and I'm as prepared as I can on the road. So that way I can eat healthy. And there's really, when I leave Helena, because I live in Helena, Montana, I have a while before I get to the next, true city, which is Missoula. And then past Missoula, because I'm heading west, your choices are limited. So I'm prepared for that trip. I also have water. I have my water jug full of water from home, but I also travel with one of these Berkey sport bottles. We'll get into that a little bit later on. There's good and bad to that thing. But think about what you're going to do for food. I mean, you're not going to survive long without food. You're going to survive even less, you'll survive longer without food than water. You need water, which you need to plan for. But, let's just talk about the Berkey filter. We have a Berkey at home. That's what this jug is full of. But when I run out of that, that's my home water. We filter all of our water out of our Berkey because one of the things to think about with water is, let's just say you get into you must boil your water. Well, where the hell am I going to boil water here in a hotel room? Now, I do have a microwave. I could do it. But you think about that. When they have you must boil your water notice go out, you've already ingested that water. By the time they discover it, you've already ingested it, and, well, you could be sick. So that's why I want to filter my water, and that's what I love about this thing, because it's got a little Berkey filter right in it. These things are good and bad. It's good because I have filtered water. I can drink that water. It's bad because those things leak so bad. Don't plan on these things being like, hey, you're going to fill this thing up. Now, I walk around when I go to SHOT Show, and I have this with me. And it's great because I can just take tap water, put it in there, and you're going to have great tasting water, plus it's filtered. So think about your water. How are you going to deal with water? Hey, if you're at the store and you want to buy bottles of water, go for it. I just prefer to filter mine, and because this can go anywhere with me, and I can just fill it up and I get filtered water. It's really cheap for me. The other thing is I carry over-the-counter medicines. With my injuries, I have pain management I got to deal with. Fortunately, right now I'm maintaining that with over-the-counter drugs like Aleve. I actually am prescribed Aleve. And I have other things like Voltaren that is it's not gel, but it's a cream that you rub on there. But also things like Pepto, like cold and flu caplets, Dayquil, NyQuil caplets. Keep those things because, getting sick on the road can happen. And it's better to be prepared because there's nothing worse than being sick on the road and then trying to find a store to go get stuff for when you're sick. I'd rather just get back to the room because, it's not hard to pack that stuff. It's pretty easy to pack that stuff, and yeah, it's not bad to have, right? Now we're going to take a quick break here and talk about My Medic. Being self-reliant isn't just about having the right tools. It's about being prepared for any situation, especially when it comes to your health. That's why I carry a first aid kit from My Medic. I love the MyFac. That thing has got everything in it that I could really need that's within my skill level. Some of it a little bit above my skill level, but it's fully stocked for emergencies. Whether you're on the road or out camping or you just want something reliable for your car, My Medic's got you covered. I trust my personal well-being to My Medic. Check out www.trb.fyi/mm and get your own My Medic kit. We've been talking about, going out. So in segment 3 here, we're going to talk a little bit about situational awareness. Because situational awareness is one of your greatest defenses. I talk about this in general, like when I'm home, where it drives me nuts when I go to just get gas in the car and people are out there just rocking out with their earbuds in. They're completely oblivious to the world around them. Well, I want to be aware, but when I'm at home, let's face it, I still, I'm still more comfortable in my hometown. I know the gas stations, and I know, the entrances and exits and what could happen because I've already done those assessments over the hundreds of times that I've gotten gas. The thing is that now I'm in a new city. All right. So when I get gas, I'm not as comfortable because I don't know all this stuff. So the other thing is that I'm in a car. Now I have a rental car, and it just happens to be the rental car has Montana tags on it too. So I'm in a car without a state plates. Now that just sticks out that I have no idea. I'm in a place, I'm not from here, right? I may not know what I'm doing. I don't know the area. I mean, what could scream out more of come rip me off or mug me or something like that than being in a car without a state tax? Now, even if you are in state, you might have a car without a state tax, right? So, and I think about cars I've rented in the past, even in just Montana, they might have Arizona tags and things like that. So just be careful. Be hyper vigilant about your awareness. And maybe don't drive with the radio on. That could be a distraction. When I was out last night, getting food and all that stuff, the one thing I noticed in this area is there was a lot of homelessness here. And what I was noticing is the homeless here, there's a lot of mental health problems in the homeless here. I was talking to my wife last night about it. I mean, let's face it, mental health issues can lead to extremely unpredictable situations. So being hyper vigilant about the situation around you, make sure you understand that. Your surroundings may be unfamiliar, so just stay sharp. I try to make sure that I know the routes around my hotel. I've researched that 4 weeks before I got here. I did a little drive last night just to make sure what I was seeing on the map was actually what was there. Plus, I'm trying to figure out how to get from the hotel to the office and stuff like that. So I know where I got food, and I know the quick routes back to here. And the food's not far away. So I can get back here in several ways I can get back here. Also, from the office, there's a couple of ways to get back here as well. So I just want to keep my head on a swivel, keep alert for things, and know how to get back here. Because again, I'm not a local. I'm not going to know all the ways back here, but I know a couple ways back here. So the other thing is that, when I travel here, I have an FAA Part 107 license, which is a drone license for everybody else. I like to take video. There's a time when I was coming here, I stopped off and I threw the drone in the air. I got some great footage of stuff. I'm going to try to get some footage around here. And on the way back, there's some places I want to try to get some footage of. But on the other side is that I've got a drone. And if something were to happen, man, I could toss that drone up in the air, get a quick peek around and see what's going on, and then pull that drone back. So it's funny, I never thought of a drone as a prep item when traveling before. But it's a great thing to have. And that's the thing is, I have a Part 107 license. You don't need a Part 107 license if you're just using this for, enjoyment. And for those of you on the audio side, I'm using air quote for enjoyment. There's some wording about whether you need to have a license. For me, I have a commercial SUAS license, so that way the video that I could take, I can put on a YouTube channel. I could sell it if I needed to. And that's another thing is if I do happen to grab something, some footage, I can get the hell out of here. If it's something going on, I can get the hell out of here with that footage. We monetize that footage too. But you don't need an SUAS license for personal enjoyment. So yeah, just think about that. I mean, the drone I have, it's under 250 grams. So it's 249 grams. So you don't even need to register that drone under US law. I need to register because I use it for commercial, again, air quotes, commercial usage. So I got to license that drone. I mean, it's only $5 for like a 2-year license. Not that big of a deal, or $10 for a 2-year license. But anyways, it's another way that the government is taxing me for something really stupid. But getting off topic there, a drone, pretty cool thing. You can buy drones pretty cheap now. It doesn't need to be the most fanciest thing in the world. So stay vigilant about what's around you. Think about, I have an extra way to keep a bird's eye view around me if I needed to. Now, in segment 4 here, we're going to talk a little bit about communications. I also have a ham radio license because, I don't know, I guess I love giving the government money for licenses that really shouldn't be licensed. But I travel with my Baofeng it's UV5R3. This is a tri-band radio. Has a 2 meter, 70 centimeter, and the 1.25 meter bands here. Now, I only have the license the antenna for the 70 centimeter and the 2 meter band. I have to switch antennas for the 1.25. But it's great having the ability to listen. You don't need a license to listen, you need a license to broadcast. These things are only like $50. Now, it's not the strongest radio in the world, but again, look how small that. The antenna is the biggest thing in the world. For those of you watching, that antenna is about 18 inches long. Well, let's see, that's about about 12 inches long. But the radio itself is pretty compact. The radio itself is only, about 4 inches tall. So it's great to have something like this. There's times where I'm not going to have radio signal driving out to some of these places. I'll throw this thing on scan. I have this thing programmed up with a lot of stuff. I even have FRS and GRMS. So those are the radios you buy at the stores. And, I'll scan and I can listen on what's going on out there. I have the weather channels on there. It's good to have communications because, especially, when I got here, I was talking to my wife and lost cell phone signal, and I was out of communications for about a half hour. Some areas that was a little more sketchy coming through northern Idaho. But yeah, it's good to have another way of listening and communications, and this is a great way of doing that. It's not hard to get a ham radio license. It really isn't. You do need to take a test. The thing is that test is open source. Those questions and answers are out there on the internet for other ham radio people to comment on, and they'll even say how long the question pool is valid for. If you really needed to, you just go out and just memorize the test and the answers, and you'll get a license. It's not hard. There's a lot of quizzing software, even free ones, that you can use to get a ham radio license that uses the actual license pool. You'll learn the test fast. Trust me. You use this quizzing thing. So for me, it's just another layer of preparedness for when I'm on the road. Plus, it'd be kind of cool that if you want to just talk to somebody, you can just call them up on the radio. Even if you don't know anybody in the area, you need to understand ham and how it works to understand that. But you can just throw that out there that you're listening in. You just want to talk to anybody, and there's a way to do that. So I'm thinking about that. The other thing is, the thing that sucks about something like this is, again, I'm in a rental car, so my options are limited. If you're trying to use this inside the car, you got metal all around you, so it's not as effective as if you had an external antenna. But again, it's something, right? Anything is better than nothing. Some things are better than others. But this is a great thing for, listening in for emergencies. So in segment 5 here, we're going to talk a little bit about guns. I mean, it's hard to talk a little bit about prepping without guns and self-reliance without guns. I am a gun person. I mean, most of you from the audience probably know me from the gun side of things. And yes, I do travel with a firearm, sometimes several. Just depends on what's going on, but you need to do some planning within the limits. Now, I'm not going to tell you to break laws. It's up to you to decide what you're going to listen to, what you're not going to listen to, what you're going to accept. I am currently in a gun-unfriendly state, especially for out-of-staters. I mean, it's even worse for out-of-staters than it is the in-staters, and it's pretty bad for the in-staters here. So let's talk a little bit about this. I'm a strong believer in the right to protect yourself, but also following the laws within reason, right? Not only am I in a gun-unfriendly state, but I work for an organization that doesn't allow firearms on site. So I got to adapt. I got a lot of adaptation to do, right? That's one of the nice things about me and my day job is I work remote, work from home. Occasionally I got to travel. So I need to deal with some things when I travel. So I first base my travel, what I'm going to do based on the local laws, because I can deal with the work issue because, I work there. So I know what our policies are and I'll deal with that. So for this trip, the firearm I'm traveling with is actually my SIG P220 in 45. It's a larger caliber, has lower capacity, but it fits the laws here, right? I mean, if I decide to grab like a Glock or one of my other SIGs, like my P320s or even my 365s, I'm going to run into a magazine issue. And again, it's one of those things of I'm not going to tell you to break the law. It's up to you to decide what laws you're going to follow or not follow or how you're going to live your life. I decided that I'm going to follow the laws of where I'm at, which puts me even in a more, I don't want to say dangerous situation. I'm even more unprepared because I can't carry here. I could carry in my home state and the state that I transited through to get where I'm at. But when I got here, I had to deal with some additional laws. The SIG P220 falls within their laws, right? The firearm is on their roster. The magazine capacity is within their legal limits here. I could have gone with my 1911. I mean, just think about it. The SIG 220 is it's about the size of a government 1911. The one I have, it got the same capacity. It's just double action, single action, whereas the 1911 is a single action. I just decided on my 220 rather than my 1911. I was just more prepared to carry that firearm. So it fit the bill, so I took it. Now, just remember, you're now in, I'm now in an unfriendly state, so I need to be prepared to deal with whatever comes with that and legal responsibility. So whether you're traveling, just wherever you're traveling, just be prepared to deal with local laws and adjust accordingly. Flexibility and planning ahead are key parts to traveling in self-reliance, especially when you're dealing with firearms. So be prepared, do your research ahead of time. Time to switch gears just for a second here, and I want to talk to you about AmmoSquared. When it comes to being prepared and self-reliant, especially with firearms, having enough ammo is important because, after all, the firearm isn't a very effective tool without the ammo. That's why I use AmmoSquared. It's a great way to build up your ammunition stockpile gradually. And we're talking about making small steps to freedom here. great way to do that is with AmmoSquared. You set your plan up, and they'll deliver the ammo whenever you want it. It's on your schedule. They're going to take the money out when you want them to, the amount you want them to, and then they're going to deliver the ammo when you want it. Or you can leave it there and let it just stockpile in their warehouse where it's off-site. It's off-site ammunition storage. So make sure that you're being prepared with your ammo. You're doing it with a company that you trust. AmmoSquared has been around for a while. They're not new. They're really revolutionizing the way that we invest in ammo. Go to www.trb.fyi/A2. And if you sign up using that code, AmmoSquared is going to give you $20 of free ammo. Free ammo. Awesome way to build up that ammunition stockpile. Now, in segment 6, we're going to talk about the workplace preparedness and, specifically the vulnerabilities I'm going to have to deal with that. I told you I don't work for a company that allows firearms on site. So I need to plan for that, which means now and again, just like the laws, I'm not going to tell you to break your company's policy. It's up to you to decide what you're going to do. But be prepared for that. So if I have a firearm and you're not going to take it into the workplace because of their rules, regulations, or whatever, you need to be able to store that firearm securely. So, I used to work for a bank, and it was funny working for this bank because it's a Montana-based bank. Firearms are just a thing. So I remember when I first started there, my boss actually lived in Idaho. He didn't actually live in Montana because we had banks in other states too. But he knew I was a gun guy. And he's like, "Hey, we have." He goes, "We have a weapons policy here." He goes, "I'm just going to bring that up. I'm never going to bring it up again." And he never did. And it's so funny so we couldn't have firearms on site. And it's so funny sitting in my office, I would look out in the parking lot and I go, "There's a gun in that car, there's a gun in that car." And I could point all the cars that had guns because I knew the people. It was just funny to think about that. But eventually they changed the policy to no guns on property, which changed that dynamic greatly. What's so funny is the day after that policy went into effect, I looked out my window and there's a gun in that car, there's a gun in that car. Nobody changed their habits. But I need to deal with that here. So not only in an unfriendly state for guns, I'm going on site that is not friendly for firearms. So I've made my preparations for that. But you need to realize that now your situational awareness changes. I'm in an area that I should be safe, but my organization does not allow me to protect myself in that manner. So I need to have a heightened situational awareness. I need to know where my escape routes are going to be. How am I going to get back to my car? How am I going to get back to my hotel? Basically, how am I going to get back to my gun and my preps? Last night I drove from the hotel to workplace a couple of times, finding different ways around. It's not hard. I could even walk there if I needed to. For decisions I'm not going to get into, I'm going to drive. But if in the event of a workplace violence incident, my first move is to get out and get back here into this room. Once I'm there, I can make decisions on what my next steps are going to be, right? Now, even if it's not a workplace violence, what happens if it's natural disaster or civil unrest or something else? The plan is to get back here to this hotel room where I can assess, my safety and how I'm going to get out of here. Now, one thing is, I told you that I'm in an area, my cell phone's back on the charger over there. Internet could become sketchy. I mean, we've relied so much on the internet. I have a map software on my cell phone. So I can get out of where I'm at. The thing is that I've downloaded the maps for the entire United States, and they're updated regularly on that. So that way, if there is no internet, or like I said, when I'm traveling here, I lose cell phone service, so I lose internet, my maps still work. So I can plan how to get out. Again, I've got this to listen to. If I have the internet, I'm trying to find information out. I got TV that I can listen to local news, which may or may not tell me the correct story. Toss a drone in the air, whatever I need to do. But be prepared for, even if, I'm here, even if you're just in your place of work, you need to be prepared for being vulnerable if your company has that type of weapons policy. What are you going to do? I've made my decisions. I know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to share them with you because my decisions may be different than yours. You may or may not believe or, understand how I made the decisions, or even really think that they were good decisions or not. They're the best decisions that I can make given the situations that I'm at. I'm also going to be at a site that I've never been to before. It brings some new challenges to it. So anyways, just remember that you need to stay calm, have a plan, and using, a hotel room as your base for making decisions for any crisis. At the end of the day, traveling is about maintaining your independence and being ready for whatever comes your way. It's hard to really conceptualize that traveling is about independence. It really is, because we're not locked up in a house. We're not locked up into a property, but we do need to do certain things to maintain that independence. I mean, whether it's stocking your hotel fridge, staying aware of your surroundings, or planning for local laws. And it's hard to think of local laws, dealing with local laws as independence, but hey, look, like I said before, it's up to you to decide what you're going to do for your life. You need to take responsibility for your actions and deal with any consequences come with it. I just happen to lean certain ways of it. You might as well. You may make different choices. I'm not saying either one is wrong, but you need to take small, consistent actions to help you keep in control of what you can control. I can't control the local laws. I can't. But what can I control? It's understanding that, and that's what gives me my independence, or as much as independence as I can get. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Undependent Podcast. Until next time, remember, empower yourself one step at a time and build that flywheel of independence.